Hi, this is Sam Leonard. Now, in this video, what I'm going to talk about is the Great Awakening 2020, what it is and what it means. Now, you've probably noticed that 2020 has been a bit of a crazy year, and this has caused a shift in humanity, a shift in awareness. Now, the Great Awakening is talked about in lots of different ways. It's talked about in the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle, or a shift in density, which is talked about in the Law of One. And these are things that you can definitely dive into if it's something that interests you. But I'm going to talk about how most people would have noticed it this year, because the craziness that's been going on this year, and it's still going on as I record this video, you know, it's caused people to start to question things, to start to question the mainstream narrative, the information that they're given. I mean, if you look at the news as an example, it's predominantly negative, and it induces us into a state of fear, and this stops us thinking critically. When we're in a state of fear, we go back to an authority figure, back to the news to get that certainty. So many of us already do this. We switch off the news and we're getting the information ourselves, and this is what a lot of people have started to do, because they've started to realize what they're being told doesn't resonate with them. It doesn't feel right in their intuition, and they started to question things and started to look into going and getting the research themselves. And this is such a positive thing to do, because it empowers us. We don't need someone else who has an agenda to tell us what's happening. We can go and find the information ourselves. And a lot of the time when we do this, we dive into these deep rabbit holes, these conspiracy theories, and we find out all this information, and we get to a stage when you go deep enough into the rabbit holes that you can't ignore something. You can't ignore what the truth is. And a lot of these things, they all link together, all these different rabbit holes. And this is a very empowering thing to do, because you know you're finding out all these truths, and you're finding out how the world actually works, what the power structure is. You're following the money. You can see who's controlling what and what the agenda is, and why we're being told certain things. But what I would say about this is not to focus too much on what you find out down these rabbit holes, because a lot of the things you uncover, yes, it's empowering, but a lot of the things can be a bit dark, and we don't want to get sucked into that, because again, that's going to suck our energy. Where your focus goes, your energy flows, and you want your energy, it's good to find out these truths so you know how the world works. And so you can also empower yourself to think, well, if that's not real, then maybe I'll look into this. And this is, this empowers us, but we don't want to give it too much of our energy, because what's happening with the Great Awakening is that, this shake-up of humanity, it's really raising awareness. It's a collective raising consciousness. And what it allows people to do is, because they're uncovering these false narratives, then they start to question things, they start to raise their consciousness, and they become more empowered. And then they start to think, well, society's telling me I should do this, or I should do that, or then they start to empower themselves in a way of seeking their purpose, of seeking truths, of being a self-sovereign individual who's taking responsibility for where they are and the information that they take in. And this collective raising in consciousness that's happening throughout the world, the Great Awakening, is this shift into a new stage of humanity, and people really empowering themselves. And then they can start to look into their lives, looking into the information that serves them, and then they can start to look into their purpose. And you don't have to do the things that society tells you, these things that are normal. And we can start to live a more empowered life moving forward. By living from this place of empowerment, we can really start to live life on our terms, live our purpose. And we also, by having these increased awarenesses of how the world works, we increase our own awareness, our own consciousness, and we become more aware of the collective, of other people. We become more compassionate, we increase our emotional intelligence, and this is a real shift in humanity from this, this more egocentric place of this selfish way of being, to more of an increasing awareness, in consciousness to really help each other and to move forward in a more compassionate and understanding way. And this is really what the Great Awakening 2020 is about. It's about a collective, a shake-up of humanity, bringing a lot of the falsehoods, the darkness into the light, increasing people's awareness and raising their consciousness as a result. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.